Hello, it's Debbie Gilbert here from the Business Awards show, and I'm also the founder of the Best Business Women Awards. And today we're talking all things fish and chips. I am joined by Rani Sandhu from the Ranmore Friery in Sheffield, who has had her fish and chip shop with her husband since 2016. She has also recently been on the television on a Channel 5 program called Faking It, where Rani was set a series of challenges to see if she could transition from being a fish and chip shop owner to a sushi chef. And if you haven't watched the program, go and watch it because I've watched it and I thought it was really, really fascinating. And we won't spoil the ending, will we, Rani, and tell people what happened in the end? So
No.
we'll let them watch it, but you can talk about the experience today. So Rani transitioned from a career in banking. So what on earth, Rani, made you transition from banking to fish and chips? Tell us all about that.
So I came to Sheffield in 2016 with my husband and my two children. Um, what a transition it has been. I worked in banking, so I worked for the Royal Bank of Scotland, and I was doing everything banking, project work, managing staff, everything. So going from something so kind of corporate and coming into the fish and chip industry was it was shocking. Complete turnaround. I've never ever worked in the food industry. So it was something completely and utterly new for me and my whole family and my husband. None of us had any food experience at all. I remember when we first came here and it was we were all so nervous, really, really nervous of, how do you cook the fish? How do you cut the fish? How do you prep the potatoes? How do you make curry sauce? How do you do the peas? It was all like I would walk around with a book, pen and paper, and I would be writing everything down, literally step by step. I remember how to turn the range on, and I would put it down in my book, how to do it step by step, 1, 2, 3, 4, each step on how to turn it off, how to turn it on. And it was just a lot of it. I was very, very honest with the community that I'm in. So I would always ask the customers for feedback. If something wasn't right, come and tell us so we can put it right, help us. And that really helped us in our journey. I mean, at first, oh my gosh, there used to be so many arguments between all of us. We'd forget to put the customer's fish in. We'd forget the customer's orders. We couldn't get anything right. And I remember the first Friday that we went solo, all four of us, my daughter was only, I think she was 8 then, and she was helping us with bringing chip buckets from the back potato room to the front of the shop so that we could then put the chips into the fryer. And yeah.
What actually drew you into fish and chips? So you made this decision to relocate, but what was it about fish and chips that you thought, oh, this could be a good business for us?
It was an opportunity that came along.
Mm,
And so I took redundancy from RBS,
mm,
and I thought I was going to take 4 or 5 months out and I was just going to concentrate on the family and I was going to concentrate on myself.
mm.
Well,
You
nothing
didn't.
ever pans out the way you want it. My husband had an accident at work. So, yeah, so he had an accident, which was, it was a very emotional time.
Mm,
He was out of work. I was out of work. Aaron had just come out of school and he was struggling with his A levels. So he dropped out of A levels. My daughter had just been diagnosed with dyslexia. So everything kind of happened all in one go. And as a family, we weren't very connected. I'm not embarrassed or ashamed to say that because I feel like, you know, honesty is the best policy. We were, as a family, we were kind of broken almost. And what this business has done is it was a huge step.
mm,
We thought, okay, so this opportunity's come, we can relocate. Let's see if I honestly felt like, let's see if I can bring my family back together again. And
Yeah,
that's why we moved. And
that's a lovely story.
honest to God, it was the best decision that we made the first 2 years of being in this business together. So we moved from a beautiful 4-bedroom house, and I had all my friends and my family there. So we were all very much settled. And then to pick up and to move to Sheffield, where, and again, I'm not ashamed to say this, I'm very proud. So we live above our shop, and it's a 1-bedroom shop.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
So we
Yeah.
have a bedroom, we have a living room. That living room we then turned into another bedroom. And so we lived in this confined space. But I will be honest, it was really hard at first because it was like almost we were all on top of each other. And we'd have so many arguments, you know, as families do. But what this shop has given us, and that little tiny flat, has turned that broken family into such a loving family. We are all so much more connected with each other. I wouldn't change it for the world. If somebody gave me an option to move into, you know, Rani, do you want your 4-bedroom house or do you want the little flat? I'd go for the little flat.
Oh,
Because what
that's
I
really
have now
yeah.
is pure gold.
That's amazing.
Honestly, we work together, we live together, we're always together. Honestly, we really are. You know, our weekends are like going into the peaks and going hiking or doing something, all of us together, or the kids will go off and play golf. And me and Gary will go and do whatever we want to do, a spa weekend or anything. But it's just so nice because now we're so connected. We're connected with the kids, we're connected as husband and wife. And the kids feel like they can come and talk to us about everything and anything.
So it's been a really good step for your family. And did you buy the business as a going concern or did you start it from scratch?
No, so the business was already established when we took it over. And, you know, luckily we took it from a family member. So we knew that, you know, it worked. But with everything, you know, there's always room for progression.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we came here, it was literally a fish and chip shop that did kebabs and, you know, other few options. So we then stepped it up and took it further and we introduced vegan food.
Oh,
Yes.
interesting. Okay.
So we do a lot of vegan food and we are, you know, very much, I would say my business is now 60% fish and chips and 40% vegan.
Well, that's
That's my
interesting.
customer base, yeah. And we've bought in vegan selection boxes. We have vegetarian selection boxes where we've got like homemade pea fritters, vegan sausages, vegan nuggets, chips and curry sauce. And that's your vegan selection box.
That's amazing.
We do vegan fish and chips. We do, you know, we do a lot of vegan variety. And I think that when I came here, so my mum was completely vegetarian. And when we were growing up, my mum would often send us into a local takeaway shop and say, go and ask them what they fry their chips in. Yes. And are the chips cooked separately? And because if they were cooked with meat products, my mum couldn't eat them from there.
No.
So when I came here and I saw the pans, I immediately stripped the pans clean and I separate pan for meat, separate pan for fish, and separate for chips.
Yeah.
And then my vegan products are also cooked in my chip pan. So we may not be gluten free because, and this is what I always say to anyone that comes into our shop, you know, if you're a celiac or gluten free, always speak to a member of staff, always double check everything. You know, is it a option that where they're severely celiac? Because my daughter has allergies. So it's extremely important for me. You know, I'd rather turn someone away and say, no, I'm sorry, but my food's not suitable for you.
Yeah.
Than sell it and have them be sick.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's a really nice thing to do, definitely. It is hard. I mean, it's getting a lot easier, I think, as a vegan now to eat out and to enjoy all of these products because many years ago, I'm dairy free, so I'm not vegan. But, my lifestyle is very similar to a vegan in as much as I can't have any dairy products.
Mhm.
And when I was diagnosed in 2015, it was really, really hard. And now it's actually a lot easier. And more, premises like yourselves are catering for people who have dietary needs. So let's talk a bit about the fish and chip industry because there's around about 10,000 fish and chip shops across the UK. And it is one of those great British foods that we as a country, it's one of our flagship dishes, if you like. Um, and what's happened with the fish and chip industry? Because the price of fish has increased, hasn't it? And obviously, there are so many now fast food outlets. So, what are the challenges that you've come across in that almost 10 years that you've been running the fish and chip shop?
So, I mean, there is a lot of takeaway shops out there.
Mm,
You kind of like have to stand out from the rest. Um, so in order for you to progress and draw your business, the fish market is extremely expensive.
mm,
I remember we used to live next door to a fish and chip shop when I was growing up. And back then, fish and chips used to be so cheap, and
mm,
we used to be there every Friday, and every Friday there'd be queues out the door. But compared to now,
mm,
fish is so much more expensive. I
mm,
say it as a business owner that fish is expensive. But in
mm,
order for me to um, carry on being a profitable business and to remain in this field, I will only buy quality fish. I won't go for the cheaper options. And the community that I'm in, I'm very fortunate that I have very open and honest discussions with my customers. So, we will discuss it that, yes, and they know you go to a supermarket and a little piece of cod that
I
hasn't
know.
been cooked is approximately £4.
I know. Mm,
So can you imagine the struggles that we as fish and chip shop owners are having when I came here, a piece of cod was £3.20 back then, or £3.40. That's 9 years ago. Now my fish has gone up to £9.20, and that is how much I'm selling a piece of cod for. But that
wow.
is good quality fish.
Mm,
I There are cheaper alternatives, but then when we want fish and chips, even as a customer, I want good quality food.
mm,
Okay. And I'm prepared to pay for it because
mm,
for me, my meal is extremely important. When somebody works so hard and they come to you for your meal, I cook it with a lot of love and I make sure that it is quality ingredients. The oil is clean, the potatoes are the best quality, the fish is the best quality, the batter is fresh, everything. And therefore, yes, my fish and chips are very expensive, but you get what you pay for.
exactly. So that kind of brings us on to talk about faking it because what an incredible experience that must have been. So, how on earth did you get picked for a Channel 5 program? And tell us a bit about that and the experience that you had. But don't tell us the ending. We don't want to know the ending.
No, I won't. So what an opportunity. So I remember it very clearly. September on a Wednesday afternoon, I was serving this local school kids chips. And I took the phone call and it was Molly from Channel 5. And I thought it was one of my customers just playing a little prank on me. So I answered the phone and I was like, yeah, this is all we would love you to apply for this role. And I went along with it, saying, oh, yes, we're very entertaining in this chip shop. And before you knew it, I'd given my email address. And then I'd put the phone down. And I thought, oh my gosh, I've just given my email address and it could be some scammer. So I rang my best friend and I said, I've just done this. And she said, okay, let's Google it then, this person. So she
Mm.
Googled the person and it came up on LinkedIn and they're from Channel 5. And she went, oh, no, Rani, this is actually genuine. And I went, oh, okay. And they said sushi. And I thought, oh my gosh, I've never even seen sushi. But they want to turn me into a sushi chef. So this is going to be exciting. I didn't think I'd get it. So even they ask you to do a 60-second video. And what did I do my 60-second video? Standing by the range in my apron, just as I am today, no makeup, nothing. And I just did it. All my Zoom interviews were just done exactly the same way. And then Alex, the producer, he came round for 3 hours. And again, we were just as we are. And I was serving and he was sitting back, and all my customers were coming in and we were just having conversations. And I remember he went in the back and I went in the back to go and get something. And all I heard was Alex on the phone saying, I found her. And I says, Aaron, what's he found in the back? And Aaron went, Mother, have you thought this through? And I says, what are you talking about? And then he went away. And on the Friday, I got the phone call saying, you've been selected for the role. And I thought, oh gosh, okay, so what do I do now? And they said, we're coming for filming on the Friday. On the following Friday, we're coming to do the filming, and that's it, starting. So my husband, he was really supportive. He was like, you go for this. You've always said you love cooking. And I think my husband thought it was a bit more of like MasterChef. I don't think even he understood what I was going in for. My kids did. And Aaron kept saying to me, Mum, have you done your research? Have you done your research? And I went, no, Aaron, I don't want to do any research. I want the real experience.
Yeah, because you were put to work. I mean, I watched the show, and this wasn't, I think it was harder than MasterChef because you were working long hours doing that, weren't you?
It was so, so tough. It's got to be the toughest thing I have ever done in my whole entire life. I honestly thought, even when they were doing the filming, like on the Friday came and on the Saturday when we're being filmed and we're having our family meeting, I was hoping any minute now, my husband or my children are going to say, sorry, we can't cope without you. You can't go for a whole month. You have to come back, or Mum, leave it. You're not doing it. I honestly thought I would possibly get like a little escape out.
So was it a whole month that you were there?
Month. I was away from my family for a whole month, and I've never lived away from my family ever. I've been for the odd occasional holiday, but then it's like with the girls, or it's with I've been away with my daughter, or I've been away with I don't have my parents anymore, but I've been away I used to go away with them. So this was so, so different, Debbie, on a different level from someone who is, and you realize this when you go away and you leave them. I am so fortunate because I am so loved, not just by my family, but by my community. This community, when it became my family, these customers that come in, I don't see them as pound signs walking in. I actually see them as friends and family. The support that this community and everybody has given me is unbelievable. They have wiped my tears when I was grieving for my mum and dad. And, they've always been there. If I've struggled with anything, with one of my children, if I don't know what to do, whoever walks through that door will find out what today's problem is, and I will ask them for support. And I will say, what do you think? What do you think? How do you think I can do this? Or, Aaron wants to do this, or Angel wants to do this. And that's where my support comes from. And then to pick me up and put me in London and to work in Soho and Mayfair. And I've never worked with chefs ever.
And you worked for sort of very high-end sushi restaurants. Yeah.
I remember walking down the road because I wasn't even told what restaurant I was working, who the mentors were. I wasn't told anything. And then as I'm walking down the road and I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm going to be working in this restaurant. And when I saw it, I was like, and I remember Kurt said, oh, are you hungry? And I said, yeah, I'm starving. When I went and they sat me in front of the sushi bar, I lost all appetite. I was like, no, 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 I'm not hungry anymore. But it was hard. When I saw Jordan and Kerr and I saw these huge men, I was like, oh my gosh, you know what?
Mm,
How am I gonna survive in this? Because these are very strong characters.
mm.
And how am I gonna be, how am I gonna work with them and how am I gonna survive? How am I
Well,
gonna
you
fit?
did. You did. I
And
mean, I think you really showed your strength of character. That's what I picked up from the show, that you really did demonstrate that how powerful us women can be when we're faced with challenges. And I
when
think,
I was in sorry, when I was in that kitchen working with those chefs, I didn't know
mm,
the name of the ingredients. I didn't know the name of the dishes. I
mm,
didn't know anything. And
no,
to work with all these strong
mm,
people, and they are so talented, really, really talented.
mm,
The way they work with their knives and the way they work with
mm.
their fish and their presentation skills.
It's an art, isn't it? It
Oh
is an
my
art form.
goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, I would consider myself very, very lucky to have worked with all those chefs.
Mm,
And, very, very lucky. Chotto was an amazing experience. Maru's was, again, an absolutely amazing experience. I remember working in Maru's one day in Mayfair, and I was helping out in service, and we had real customers. And this gentleman, he turned around and he says, Ronnie, he says, tell me, I'm really fascinated about your journey. I've never ever seen an Indian lady in a sushi bar.
mm, yeah.
And I thought to myself, gosh almighty, how am I going to get out of this one?
Yes, because you have to be undercover, don't you, the whole time?
I
You
was
can't
undercover
let
the
your guard
whole
down.
time.
Yeah.
And I said, I remember saying to him, I said, I'm just having a career change. I went out for Japanese food with my best friend and I fell in love with Japanese food. And here I am. I am now an apprentice at Maru's.
Amazing. But there aren't many Asian women either that run fish and chip shops, are there? I mean, we were talking about this earlier before we went on to record, that it's
I
not
think out of,
necessarily mainstream, is it, for
yeah,
Asian women to run a fish and chip shop?
yeah, out of the 10,500, I mean, I went to a fish and chip show almost, and that was in Peterborough by Friars Pride. And I went there and I looked, and I mean, there are Indian people in fish and chips,
Mm,
but not as many, I would say. I would say I wouldn't be able to sort of like give you a percentage on it. I mean, I'm very fortunate. I do know a few Indian
mm,
fish and chip shop owners, but
mm,
possibly because they're family members who
mm.
own fish and chip shops. So, but I think the more I go to these programs in London and Peterborough, the more I see how diverse it is.
It's great. So the kind of program in a way led you to my door because your friend saw the information about the Best Businesswomen Awards and basically said, come on, you should be applying, didn't she?
She did. So I'm very fortunate again. I have such amazing friends. And throughout my faking it journey, these two lovely, lovely ladies, Sandy and Layla, they really helped me through the journey because the day that I got the email, Layla, my friend, had come to see me and she had just been diagnosed with cancer, so she was battling that. And we were sitting there talking about it, and Aaron walks in and Aaron says, oh, Layla, has mum given you the news? And I says, no, no, Aaron. I says, we're focusing on Layla today. We're not going to talk about that. And Layla put all that to aside and she says, no. She said, you are going to give me your news and you are going to tell me what is it. And as soon as I told her, and it was almost like I saw a spark in her eyes.
Mm,
I was doing this, but it was almost like, but she was just so excited.
mm,
And I saw that spark in her, and she was like, no, you are going to do it. Come on, let's sit down. Let's do this. Let's do that. And I can see you being really successful with this. And I was like, oh no, Layla, I don't know anything about it. And Layla was like, oh no, no, you're going to be absolutely fine. This is your year. This is your year. I remember she kept saying that to me. And then Sandy Carmen, oh my goodness. Again, I remember being in London, and I was so upset one day, and I picked up the phone, and she was driving to work, and she had to stop the car and calm me down and say, no, no, you've got this. And they were just such pillars of strength. These women
Oh,
helped build me.
mm,
So, and then when these business awards came, and again, it was Layla and Sandy, and
mm,
they were like, no, you must apply. And I was like, well, I don't really know. Back in the banking days, it was very different. I used to be nominated all the time, for
mm,
various, and but when you're working for yourself,
mm,
I think this is for every woman in business. When you're working for yourself, it's so hard because you
yeah,
don't have that appreciation out there.
no,
You've got nobody saying to you, oh, well done, you've done really great there. Or,
mm,
have you thought about this? There's no encouragement. And that's where I suppose people like yourself doing these awards on these platforms is something, and I would promote these to a lot more women, um, purely because it's something that celebrates women, and
yeah. I mean,
especially women who are
I
coming
speak to
forward.
a lot of people in the run up to the awards when we close. And you just, I just still remember the conversation we had. Because I suppose with you
Tell me
doing the
about this
TV show and
format.
owning a fish and chip shop, because you are in 11 years of running the Best Business Women Awards, you are the second fish and chip shop who has entered the awards and got to the final. So
Oh, nice.
there was another lady, many, many years ago, who was, I've got to say, I think maybe Scarborough or somewhere like that. I'm trying to remember, but I'll have to look back on the records. But it's unusual. It's an unusual industry for female entrepreneurs. I think you came across as somebody when I spoke to you on the phone and you were saying, would I qualify for these awards? And I was like, tell me about your business. And you were telling me about your community work, which we'll talk a bit more about in a minute. And I remember, I think, saying to you, you remind me of Julie Core, who won one of our awards last year, who runs a convenience store in Telford, and how she's integrated herself into the local community. And everything you said to me, you ticked all our boxes of what being a best businesswoman is all about. And so I was really grateful that your friends encouraged you to do the entry and submit it, because here we are, you're a finalist for 2025.
I know, and I cannot believe that I am a finalist. And it's, I know you've mentioned Julie Core before.
Mm,
Is this the Julie Core from Telford?
yes,
Runs a Premier store.
yes. You know her. Have you met her?
She's my big sister.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I hadn't realised you were related because she's coming to the final as well.
Oh
Did you not
my God. No,
know?
I didn't.
Oh, we've discovered this on the podcast
Oh
today.
my goodness. I can't wait to pick up the phone and say to her, Julie, we're going to the awards together.
Yes, she's I can't remember. I think she's in most inspiring businesswoman, I think. I can't
Oh
remember.
my God.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, wow.
I can't believe you didn't
No,
know.
no. I think we lead such busy
Mm.
lives, and I'm so busy. She's so busy. Our middle sister is also, we're three sisters. So
Hmm.
the older one's Julie, the middle one's Danny, and then I'm the youngest of the
Yeah.
sisters. And so Danny is my sister who I bought this fish and chip shop from.
Oh, so you're all very entrepreneurial then.
Well, My dad, I would say our parents were very, very much business focused.
Right.
My dad had a convenience store. He had a knitwear factory, and he was a landlord. And my dad
Right.
always worked. And honestly, I think it's the same work ethics that we all have as his children. Um, my dad never stopped working, never ever stopped working. And I would never stop working either, because I think the minute you stop working is the minute you stop living.
No, I agree. I absolutely agree with you. I think keeping busy. I was at an event yesterday in Kent, and two of the women that I was talking to there, one is turning 70 next year, and the other one is turning 70, I think, the following year. And both of them were saying that it's keeping busy and keeping their businesses running that's keeping them mentally agile. So I think it's really important. So let's talk a bit about your community work, because clearly this runs in the family because your sister's raised a lot of money as well. So you've raised a lot of money for your local community. So talk a bit about that and why that's been so important to you and to your business.
So back at RBS, I used to do a lot of community work there as well. But again, you do it in groups, and
Mm,
the whole team's with you. So it's again, climbing Mount Snowdon and things like that. So when I came into
mm.
this industry, I mean, I think the first 2 years I didn't do anything. And
No.
I think we were just trying to work out how to run a fish and chip shop. And then I remember it was May, and we had some of the local. So our local charity is called Cavendish Cancer Care.
Oh, right.
Me and Aaron, my son, we had just enrolled onto doing the Sheffield 10K. And
Yeah.
they said, and we got talking, and they said, "Oh, are you doing it for charity?" Or, I said, "Well, we've just put our names down for it, and we've just got our places." And they said, "Would you like to do it for us?" And I said, "Well, tell me a bit about yourselves." And they said, "We run Cavendish Cancer Charity. It's our local charity. It's for supporting people through difficult times, for families, and they offer a lot of help and support." So that was in May. And I said, "Yeah, that'd be lovely, actually. We'll join your team, and we've already got our places, so we don't need places. But yes, we'll definitely support you guys, and we'll start some fundraising." And then it came to the beginning of June, and my mum was diagnosed with cancer.
Oh, gosh.
And I
That's
lost
not-
my mum within 2 weeks. And
oh,
that for me was the hardest time ever. I was so broken at that point of losing my mum. And again, I remember doing the Sheffield 10K in September. And my dad, when I took my medal down to my dad and show him, I said, "Dad, look, this is what I've done, and I've done it in memory of my mum." And he went into her purse. So my mum's mum was from Canada, and my mum would often go to see my nan. And so we'd lost my nan in the same year as my mum. Just
oh,
a few
wow.
months before, we'd lost my nan, then we lost my mum. And he went into her purse and he took out 500 Canadian dollars.
Mm,
And he said, "This is to start off your fundraising."
mm,
And that 5,000, sorry, that $500 has now gone up to about just over £10,000,
that's amazing.
for that charity.
Mm,
And that's how it all started. And I joined a running group, This Mum Runs, and the ladies have been so, so supportive. Off the back of that, they've become my friends.
mm.
And we do, we'd meet up once a week and we'd go for that run, and it'd just be about us. And I would, even on the weeks I'd say, "Oh, I'm not coming," they would come and drag me out the chippy. They would come to the gym shop.
Okay, come on.
And they'd say, "Aaron, we're taking your mum for half an hour." And again, supportive kids. My kids
Mm,
would say, "We're standing in the shop, you're going. You are going." And so that's why I say I am very lucky. I'm very, very lucky. And, I'm very, very blessed that, yes, I've had my difficult times of, I miss my mum and dad very, very dearly every day. My dad would have been so proud of his daughter and, everything that I have achieved. He would be extremely proud of his daughter. I hope wherever he is, wherever they both are, that they feel really proud.
Oh, I'm sure they will be very, very proud of you. I think what you've done is incredible. So let's talk at the end of our podcast about the challenges that you've overcome, because with this podcast really is to try and encourage people to enter awards and to talk about the benefits of that and to talk about people's business journeys. And I'm really blessed because I've spoken to so many incredible male and female entrepreneurs over the years. And everyone has a unique insight into their own business and their own industry. So if someone's sitting at home listening to this thinking, I want to leave banking, I'm gonna go and
Chip shop.
completely change my career. I mean, what advice would you give people? I mean, I think you kind of stepped in with both feet and rolled your sleeves up, but what sort of things would you say to them?
I would honestly say to anybody, I think at the end of every 10 years, I seem to have like a career change or I like to change something. So I was 39 when I came here.
Mm.
Next week on Tuesday, I turn 49.
Oh, wow.
Now, off the back of my faking it journey, I am not just selling fish and chips and vegan food. I am also now selling poke bowls.
Oh, okay. So you've
Yes,
you've brought some sushi items into your menu.
100%.
And how's that gone down with the locals, the
They are
diversification?
flying out.
Oh,
Yes, we do sushi grade salmon, tuna, chili and garlic infused prawns. We do peri peri chicken and we do vegan salmon.
wow.
And currently I'm working on a vegan tofu recipe for one of the poke bowls. So, I mean, as much as I love my fish and chip shop, I can definitely see that in the next 10 years,
Yeah.
I can see myself opening up maybe, who knows, maybe a little sushi bar, maybe.
Sheffield sushi. It's got your
Yeah.
name all over it.
And I'm very, very fortunate again because my mentors have kept in touch with me. So they're
Mm,
so supportive. And
mm.
Kurt, Jordan, they have, both said, whatever support you need, Rani, we will support you. So
That's
again,
amazing.
I'm very, very fortunate that I have that strong circle. And but even with faking it, I've made such incredible friends with those with them, and they're coming down to my fish and chip shop soon.
Oh, how exciting.
They're very excited.
A-
But
And what and
sorry.
what's it like working? How do you manage the dynamics of working with your family, particularly your husband?
Well, it was like I said, the first 2 years were very, very tough, very.
Mm,
But I think he's now understood because I think in my family, everyone's got very strong leadership within
yeah.
themselves. So, and it's not like we all want to be leaders, but it's
No.
about almost stepping back and saying, right, what's best for the business?
Mm,
And that's key. Okay,
mm.
what can I bring? What can I do to improve? What can you do to improve? What can the kids bring? And the kids are bringing TikToks and everything in. They're forever filming. They're saying, oh, let's make some content. Mom, let's do content today. So we're forever evolving. And I think that is really important to anybody, whether you're young, whether you're old, whether you're male or female. I
Mm,
change is absolutely necessary.
mm,
Everybody should adapt to change. If
mm.
there's always something new out there, don't be scared. Don't be afraid. You know what? Just go for it. What is the worst that can happen? You might not be successful. So what? At least you try. And
I
that
love that.
that is the advice that I would give to
Mm,
anybody who is listening today. I knew nothing about sushi and now I am selling poke bowls. I knew nothing about fish and chips. Now I am running a successful fish and chip shop. Life is for living. Live it.
oh, thank
Regrets.
you.
Go push yourself.
Rani, you are utterly inspirational. I cannot wait to meet you in person in October at our Gala Awards evening. And it'd be lovely to see the two of you together, you and Julie,
Yes, it
who
would
is
be.
also a
You know
force of
what?
nature.
I'm so excited. I had no idea. I will give her not a phone call today because I know she's very busy today, but I will either drop her a message tomorrow or I'll give her a phone call and just say, "Hey, sis, congratulations. Our parents would be very proud. We've both made
They
it."
will. They will. It'd be amazing. So, well, I wish you continued success with the fish and chip shop in Sheffield. If anybody's listening to this and it is in the area or passing through, I wish we lived nearer. We're in Somerset, but my husband is a real sushi fan, so you never know. One day we might call in on our way up somewhere. Um,
Absolutely. You're
and
more than welcome.
we will add the links to your fish and chip shop and your social media into the show notes. So if you are listening and you want to connect up with Rani, and we will also add the link to Faking It, which is currently on Channel 5 on their Catch Up My 5 app. So thank you for joining me today.
It's been
And
an absolute pleasure.
yeah, I will really look forward to meeting you on the night. Take care.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
You too. Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.
Thank you.